In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to travel the world and still actually get your work done. I'm Joe, and since leaving my full-time job in November 2022, I have been able to live in or travel to 11 countries while still making an online income as a short-form video editor. The problem with social media these days is that you get sold the dream. You can work from absolutely anywhere in the world, you'll be able to make a shit ton of money with just 1 hour of work a day, and you'll probably be waking up to blowjobs every single morning from different international supermodels. But then reality hits. You end up like me, stuck on a small island in the Philippines, having to sit outside a closed cafe at 3 a.m. just to ensure that you can upload and download client videos. You'll be sat there for 6 hours because it's the only place on the island with consistent, albeit shit Wi-Fi. And not to mention the fact that if it's windy on the island, then it's totally normal for there to be absolutely no connection for the next 3 to 4 hours. You can definitely tell I've moved on from the experience, right? So the first step is understanding the requirements of your job or income. What level of internet connection do you require? Do you need to consistently be downloading large files, or do you just need to hop on a call every now and then? What sort of setup do you need? Can you literally just work from your laptop, or perhaps do you need an additional monitor or maybe your camera with you at all times? Do you have to do your work at a particular time, or can you be flexible with this? And lastly, how much money do you want to make? For me, this would probably be around a £3,000 per month minimum, just so that I can live comfortably, but we're gonna dive into this a little bit later in the video. Now, you might be wondering what kind of job is best suited to this lifestyle. In my opinion, I would suggest having a job that is project-based. So a practical example of this is what I'm currently doing right now, where clients will send videos at the start of the week, meaning I just need to have them done by the end of the week. This means that you can travel on any day throughout the week. It doesn't really matter when you do the work as long as you get it done by the end of the week. So for example, if you want to take a Tuesday completely off, you can, and then just ensure that you work a bit more on a Wednesday. And of course, you can just be entirely flexible with this, but don't obviously take the piss because we've all been guilty of that, and it's no fun. I would also try to have a job where you have as minimal calls as possible. Chances are, whilst working away, you're probably going to have to be working in a lot of public places, such as cafes, and you don't really want to rely on other people being quiet during your calls because it's just going to make things a lot more stressful than they need to be. I would also advise having a job where you do not need to work specific hours. For example, when I was traveling through Thailand, there was a girl staying in the same hostel as me, and she would have to work, I believe, from about 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. because of the time zone difference. Meaning that she would have the whole day to herself, but come 5 p.m., she always had to be kind of dreading her work. And ultimately, I would imagine that would probably take away from the experience of the daytime, and of course, meaning that she couldn't ever go out in the evenings. And the last thing I do need to cover is be prepared to work in some weird fucking conditions. Whilst away, you're not going to have the luxury of a consistent desk setup, so you're going to need to be prepared to work in different cafes, different hostels, maybe even the bed in your bedroom, wherever that might be. You're going to have to be able to still get the work done and not be tied to your routine or schedules. Ultimately, with this lifestyle, there will be some things that you need to sacrifice. So considering all of these options and seeing which one works for you is probably the best way to go about it. You then need to think practically about how you're going to go about getting your work done. So when do you really work best? For me, I don't like getting up early in the morning, but I know that I am better suited to getting my work done then so that I can actually enjoy the rest of my day whilst away, rather than leaving it in the evening where I'm probably just going to procrastinate and not get it done to the best of my ability. You also need to remember that you have a job to do. You do not have a job pretending to do a job. So many times I will be sitting in cafes and people are just slugging away on their laptops all day, seeming like they're so busy, but really it's because they're not doing any focused work. I would also ensure that you have some noise cancelling headphones, and I say headphones rather than earphones for a specific reason. As trivial as it might sound, by you wearing these as opposed to little ear pods, it means that people can physically see that they can't hear you, so they're less likely to disturb you. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be an expensive pair of Apple ones like these, but as long as they have some sort of noise cancelling features, so you're blocking out as much noise as you can, then you're onto a winner. And of course, you will need to set boundaries with people, whether that be your friends, your partner, or perhaps the people you're traveling with at that given moment. Being able to be honest and say, look, I want to dedicate 3 hours of my morning to strictly work. I would really appreciate if you didn't disturb me, is going to make things a lot better in terms of your relationship with the person and the overall experience of your traveling. But if you do request these boundaries, then make sure you're actually getting the work done. Speaking from personal experience, I would say to my girlfriend that I would work in the mornings, not get the work done, and then I would then feel some sort of resentment for them when we would do our plans later in the day and almost blame it on her when really it was my fault, because as long as I got the work done, then I could have enjoyed the plans. So make sure if you are setting boundaries and perhaps blocking out time, that you actually do the work in that given time. And the final step is to value what you value. So often people will tell you how you should travel and what you should see and experience, but ultimately this is your life and you can do whatever the fuck you want. For me, I've personally taken Adele's advice and not chosen to chase any more waterfalls, as I don't really give a shit about seeing them anymore. How am I this young and still making horrific dad jokes? I will never know. I also like being somewhere that I know has good Wi-Fi now, so that I'm not stressing when it comes to uploading or downloading client videos like I was in the Philippines. And I know that in certain countries and destinations, I'm probably not going to work as hard as if I was somewhere else. For example, I'm currently out in Bali at the moment, and I know that I'm probably not going to work more than 4 hours a day because it's just kind of how everyone lives out here. They will do a couple of hours work each day and then spend the rest of the day enjoying themselves. And you can actually use this to your advantage and periodize certain months and parts of the year. So let's say you're in Thailand, for example, you might want to dedicate that time more so to perhaps training Muay Thai, traveling around the islands. So you're going to try and do the minimum requirements you can for your work and solely focus on enjoying where you are. But of course, that's not really sustainable. So for then the next 2 months, you might travel somewhere that perhaps you've been before, or somewhere that doesn't have as much traveling involved, so that you can then dedicate that 2 months to working as hard as you can. And just a quick side note tip for that is that you probably won't know how you find a certain place for you until you get there. So I wouldn't be too tied or plan too long in the future, because everyone tells you you kind of need long-term plans of it. As long as you're being sensible and booking things in advance and maybe, booking for a couple of weeks, seeing how you find it, it's probably the best way to go about it, rather than trying to have 6-month plans of exactly where you're going, because you might go somewhere, absolutely love it, want to stay longer, and then it just becomes a bit of a pain in the ass to move it around. And if you do have any specific questions, then please do let me know in the comments below. You can click here to watch some more of my content, or in the meantime, hit that subscribe button.